the Earth is warming faster than most models predicted. Okay, I think we all know that. Secondly, we should realize after COP28 that it is highly unlikely that national governments are going to take sufficient action to really make a meaningful difference. You know, reducing emissions down to roughly 2.5 tons of carbon per person per year. It's just not going to happen at that scale. Now, fortunately, we can attack this at different scale. We can all make a difference a little bit through virtuous behavior. Very little global impact, however. There are things we might do at the global scale, like geoengineering. Highly risky. Maybe we'll have to go there. The big difference, though, is at the urban scale. I mean, this is dealing with the source of the problem. Land use, mobility, buildings, local power, and in fact, 70%, Carlos said 80%, somewhere in between, of global emissions come from urban areas. This is what we want to focus on, and actually the IPCC report has this quote: how new cities and towns are designed, constructed, managed, and power will lock in behavior, lifestyles, future urban greenhouse gas emissions. In other words, we have to change this fundamentally today. So we build a model of our backyard, but you could apply this to any urban area on the planet, and roughly 17.2 tons of carbon per person per year in that area. We have to get to 2.5. That's a 7-fold reduction. I mean, that's extraordinary. So we said, okay, well, let's do a reality check. What would make a difference? We can start by decarbonizing the grid as much as we can. This is the roadmap in Massachusetts for 2040, pretty aggressive. That helped a little bit. Then we could go 100% electric vehicles. People talk about that as the solution. That only helps a little bit. A lot of embodied carbon in the vehicles, et cetera. We could transition to 50% hybrid work. Doesn't do a whole lot. I thought it'd be more. We can think about retrofitting buildings, deep energy retrofit. In fact, you're adding a lot of embodied energy in those materials and systems. Now, you can build housing near the jobs and effectively reduce commuting. That has actually a really profound impact. People still need access to all the things in daily life they need. Again, a very profound impact. We're now down to 9 tons of carbon. What was the goal? Yeah, 2.5, right? All right, so then we can build very efficient housing so people live in less space with more functionality, like our City Home project. We can transition to very lightweight mobility because we don't need cars. We're living near homes. That helps a bit. We can move to a plant-based diet. And by the way, this is more impactful than electric vehicles. That saves over a ton. And then eventually, because wind and solar are not sufficient for high-density urban areas, we can move to small modular nuclear in the 2040s. Eventually fusion, replace the heat source, fusion-ready cities. Anyway, the big impact are these interventions that can happen at a community scale. Then, we're not at 2.5, so we can do other things. We can decarbonize air travel, the internet, local hyper-efficient manufacturing. But the point I want to make is the win-win-win. The win in terms of environmental, social, economic impact are those things that local communities can do. First of all, it requires behavior change. There's no technology magic bullet, primarily of the property owners. Now, this was the Seagram's building designed by Mies van der Rohe in 1968. They gave developers a bonus to build public plazas, and overnight, behavior changed almost immediately. And so we're looking at dynamic algorithmic zoning. And to do this, we need to deploy what we think of as extended intelligence. To have an algorithmic, dynamic approach to incentives that keeps humans in the control. And this is how that could play out over time. So we have housing out of sync with jobs. And now over time, you create dynamic incentives, and you can see this starting to converge. This has feedback mechanisms, something like a natural ecosystem, and in the end, we can achieve communities in harmony.